coming at a good time. We're not as.
Well, we got booted from Warren's meeting tomorrow night.
That's true.
They're not
They're not
apparently
done.
where you're at. So.
No. See, we're
See, you're,
way ahead
you're
of the
crushing
game.
it.
Don't know about the dinosaur picture.
She was gonna come tomorrow night. Remind me. Do you ever stop?
Me too.
Okay, thanks. I thought about it while I was closing my eyes for 10 minutes at home. I was like, I probably forgot.
I was about to take my nap when Josh came by.
So we got a road trip.
Yeah, no, I was
what is that?
one knee on the ground. I was
Just
like,
like it.
I'm not surprised now that I've met Misty several times. Like every time I meet her, she's like, hi. She's like, I think she loves us, and she loves Waitsfield.
You get to go to Montpelier?
Yeah,
sometimes we
yeah,
try to nap.
We get to.
yeah.
Yeah, getting called in front of the.
Better that I fall asleep on the floor of my office.
I mean, it's.
You know, we were invited.
Also,
I mean, I
with the week
suspect
that
you
you
would
had,
be
it would be so
the
understandable.
headline of the show probably.
How was it with Michelle this morning? Nice. I'm super stoked.
Yeah, that was just,
Is that
that's why I wanted
status
to look
update or
at
is that
all.
like
That's great.
a fresh pot of money?
It's
That's really
to
great to hear.
pressure them to release more of the pollution control grant or other money for us for the wastewater.
I mean, Misty, the commissioner, is very, very excited to make sure this project
Yeah.
moves forward.
Yeah, they definitely recognize.
I think Chuck called it an affordability gap, which is the right
What that, but
affordability gap.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
explains it much better than what we were saying.
Recording in progress.
Let's start the meeting. Are there any additions, removals, or modifications to the meeting agenda? I've got 3. I'm going to pull both sets of minutes off of the consent agenda so we can make some corrections to them. And if you saw, there is a memo from Steve Lewis regarding last year's tax rate and an oversight that was made that doesn't require any action, but just wants the select board to sign off on what his recommended approach is. So I wanted to put that on the agenda. So let's deal with all of that before the consent agenda.
great.
Any other changes? Anybody here for public forum? Nope. So the first business item on the agenda is the Friends of the Mad River. Ira is the executive director of the Friends of the Mad River. As folks might know, I'm on the board of the Friends. And Ira, you want to introduce your team and launch what you would like to talk to us about?
Yeah. Thank you all for the time. Really appreciate it. Our goal here is really just to reintroduce the organization. We've grown a little bit in the last couple years. Julie Frost joined us in June of 25 as our project coordinator. Rohan joined us on January 20th as our newest AmeriCorps member. We also have Luke Foley on the team, and Lisa Koich works with us a little bit. And just today, our newest employee, Michelle Krieg, joined us at 10 o'clock this morning. So we got a lot going on, and I will hand it over to Julie to run us through some slides introducing sort of the scope of our work and how we hopefully can find ways to collaborate with all of you.
So this is general organizational.
Yeah, this is
Introduction. Great.
Yep, roadshow, we're calling it.
Yeah, we realized 15 minutes at a select board meeting was not a lot of time to get into the meat of things, and so giving you guys just a sort of touch point, we'll share these slides, and then we'll find ways to.
Yeah, go from there. We'll figure out how to go from there. All right, you good?
Yeah.
Is there anybody online I should check if they can hear me?
There is somebody on.
Bob is online.
Okay, I guess we'd hear if they can't. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Ira. I've been in the Valley for just about 5 years, but feel like I've landed my dream job now. I think I've I think I've now lived in every town in the watershed, but I'm staying put in Waitsfield, so I'll see you at town meeting day. Excited about that. I am going to follow my notes because it's the only way that I will stay within 10 or 15 minutes. So I'll get with it. Our community is where it is because of the river, right? This year, we're recognizing the 15th anniversary of Tropical Storm Irene. And since then, we know we've had unprecedented floods, development pressures, habitat changes, and all of this is within the context of increasing impacts of climate change. So we're stepping back and saying, how do we live well with the river? What do we need from the river? What does the river need from us so that we can all, thrive, not just coexist, but thrive together? So I'm going to take you through this brief slide deck, and it's really, as Ira said, it's kind of a journey to reintroduce ourselves, what we've done that hopefully you'll recognize, what we're up to now, and then, again, like we said, just kind of an ask of how to collaborate moving forward. Should I make a click noise every time, York?
We get a long stick and poke
Sure,
it.
you can do that. That'd be fun.
So here's what the agenda looks like: core values, core focus, capacity, community engagement, collaboration. We're really here today because we want to partner with the towns and the other commissions to really bring you in, engage more directly with our work, understand that we're doing project planning and prioritization, and that has to happen together with you. Attend events with us, with the community. We do a lot of community events. We're going to talk about that. And think about how together we can learn from other communities. Click. All right, so I'm going to touch on our core values. We just hit our 35th year as an organization.
You feel young, Ryan?
We're really doubling down on our core values to learn, conserve, and celebrate at the watershed scale. We continue to approach our mission, which you're going to hear about through these slides, through a real diversity of pathways, and that's important. So we'll touch on that. We do know that these core values are shared values with our town officials and boards, and so we're here to invite you to take action with us as we are ramping up. Yeah, so York, there's going to be some click throughs. I'll give you the sign. So I'll share just a few ways that we have engaged with the community. Hopefully they look familiar to some of you who've been around. So the first panel. Yep. So after Tropical Storm Irene, our previous executive director, Corey Miller, worked with a lot of key groups, brought the community together for Ridge to River. This was a 2-year strategic process that culminated in an action framework that guides stewardship and landowners. And then we've also worked with the towns on projects like culvert replacements for aquatic habitat, flood resilience, stormwater mitigations, for roads and gullies and rain gardens, and a lot of tree plantings along the rivers and streams. And we also have a cohort of 20 volunteers that monitor water quality at 23 sites along the MAD. They're gathering critical scientific data, which is increasingly important with our warming waters and development pressures. In 2024, the organization, the board, and the staff worked with a consultant to map out a strategic roadmap for the organization, really asking big questions. Okay, what should we be doing? And then what does the staffing and the partnership look like to make that happen? So our growing board, as Brian can attest to, me in this role, sitting here talking to you, and it is about our collaborations and partnerships are examples of putting this strategy into action. The framework that we came up with and the mission, the programs that it drives orient us to actions for having the community that is ecologically and environmentally resilient in a changing climate. Yep. So our core focus, I'm going to quickly highlight the programs and the projects. We'll go into some of these a little bit more in future slides. So the program areas, these are our core programs. Pretty much everything that we do falls into one of those 5 buckets. And I'll just clarify, landowner engagement is really directly with the private landowners. We have a lot of targeted outreach there with private landowners and thinking about how to enhance their stewardship practices and work with them on small scale projects. And then watershed restoration is what we're calling the larger, more involved ecological restoration projects that we would be working with the towns and other partners and organizations. So that watershed restoration feeds into this bucket on the right of the current large projects. So these 4 projects total up to somewhere around $350,000, $400,000 for 2026 and 2027. For across these 4 projects, so we're in partnership with the town. We're moving forward on several culvert replacements on municipal roads. We're identifying top priority projects from previous scoping efforts to really kind of get a handle on everything that we already know and have identified. We're developing a geospatial database so that we can put all that information that we have in one place and track it over a long period of time for project management and hopefully all the way through to implementation. And then we're also establishing a native plant nursery, which Michelle just started for today. So very exciting. That'll be right here in the Valley. All right, so fun slide on capacity, which Ira touched on in the introduction. We have been growing. The first decade of Friends, as I mentioned, we've been around for 35 years. We were all volunteer. We didn't have our first full-time executive director until 2014 with Corey. So then you see here, Ira stepped into the role as a one-person band in 2022. And then Luke came on in 2023. We had 2 AmeriCorps members that folks may remember, Oname and Marcy. And then I started last year. Rohan started just recently. And then today, Michelle started. So you can see over just a couple of years, we've had tremendous growth, which is why we're here talking with you all. Significant growth, but this is by design from our strategic planning. And it's really so that we can increase our impact of watershed health and community resilience by doing more outreach, doing more projects. But we know it's really important to partner with you all on that. So I'm going to talk quickly about community engagement. So this is really Luke's domain, and also Rohan is jumping into this space. So we've really increased our presence and impact in the community for education, connection, opportunities to volunteer. Anybody want to throw out a guess across the 12 months of 2025, how many events we held?
Brian?
Which go this way. 12 months, 24 events, 2 a month. So small organization, just really, really hitting it hard. This is across partnering with libraries, rec groups, schools, landowners, businesses. We have a really intentional focus to offer a diversity, and that's important for that coalition building. So on the first panel there, you see we run an expert series, which is place-based hands-on experiential learning for the public. We have a climate and ecology book club. This picture is well-attended one with Helen Wybrow, which was amazing. Next panel, we're in every school in the watershed. This year we connected with 600 students, so that was up from 400? Yeah. So a big increase this year in the schools, pre-K all the way through grade 12. 19 different teachers. In the summer, we offered 3 professional development opportunities, and then service learning opportunities for the kids. We also hold recreation-oriented events such as Climate for Climate, partnered with another organization, and River Fire. And we're helping to bring back the Mad River Triathlon now in its 3rd year as a comeback. A fundraiser and a really great example of a sustainable event to really have fun in our landscape. We've been a core member of the Conservation Recreation Visioning Initiative. And as I mentioned, like all of this diversity of different kinds of offerings and working with the community is very important so that we bring in a lot of different voices and different perspectives about what the right actions and path looks like for climate and flood resiliency. Okay, so let's take a little paddle, shall we? This is how we see navigating our work with partners. And after I finish, happy to have some dialogue about what this means for you all. So this includes our watershed towns, conservation commissions, regional organizations, and of course the state. It includes projects like roads and gullies, replacing culverts, riparian buffer plantings, restoring wetlands. I know that's a topic here in Waitsfield. Improving our stormwater infrastructure, gravel wetlands, you name it. We have a little handout here to pass around so that everybody can see some examples of those that we have been involved in the past. So remind me to hand those out. So just click through these pretty quickly. It started with our strategic framework, as I mentioned, and then me coming on board as a watershed project coordinator to really work closely with the towns. So far we've already been, collecting that, what do we know about previous scoping efforts that may still be really important projects to go after and move forward. And then that brings us to these road shows. So all of that has been happening, and now we're doing the road shows. And then number 5, in parallel, we are starting to project develop and think about what will be the biggest benefit and most fundable. So biggest benefit either to the community or our infrastructure protection, but also what's fundable, right? So we're doing that, but it's critical now that we are collaborating. If you want to click through one more time, that we're prioritizing what we find in that project development with the towns, because you may have your own priorities and scoping, and we want to, leverage that and work with you on what opportunities we see. And then the goal of all of this is to partner so that we have a lot more projects being implemented, being efficient, successful, and getting that, climate and flood resilient watershed and communities that we're striving for.
Can I ask a quick
Yeah,
question?
yeah.
How many towns are in the watershed? I should probably know that.
That's a great
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
5, technically.
Mhm.
Duxbury is a little kind of on the edge, and both Duxbury and Moortown are also in other watersheds,
Mhm.
just the way that the ridge lines fall. Yeah.
And we got a little bit of grid,
Me too.
all public lands.
Thank you.
So our invitation is to stay in touch with us. Our ask is if we could understand if there is a best point of contact. Maybe that shifts a little bit depending on the kind of projects and a collaboration that we're talking about. How do we share our news and events timely? We'd love to see select board members at our events. We're really gearing up to do a lot of events this year, and then other ways that we can ensure to have some dialogue with you all on a regular basis. Yeah, so that's what we have today. Open for questions, and I'll make sure to pass these around.
I recall that you, the friends have worked with the town of Waitsfield on culvert replacements in the past. I know did a big project in Facein.
Yeah, That's the one that's on here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you maybe just give a little bit of an overview of that project?
Of the Lockwood culvert?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Lockwood Brook culvert is when was this, 2022, about then. It was one of the last projects that Corey was working on before she departed, and she handed that off to me to close out. So I'm not as deeply familiar with the early stages of the project, but I understand that it came out of some scoping efforts in partnership with our sort of regional aquatic organism passage partners. And so that would be the U.S. Forest Service, U.S. Fish and Wildlife, Vermont Fish and Wildlife sort of identified certain stretches of streams around the watershed as priorities for brook trout habitat. And so then that project, as far as the town of Facein was concerned, I think it was actually fairly straightforward. We sort of presented stepwise the opportunity to do some design work and sort of have the town agree for us to move forward with that. And then from that design work, which took a little bit of time, it ended up being a fairly complicated site. The main role for the town was just to sort of be a partner with us at the table when we were reviewing those designs, and then to sort of help facilitate the easements with the local landowners and just get a clear sense of, what was all in the scope of actually constructing this culvert. It took place, the construction took roughly two weeks, and I think there were, I can't remember exactly, but like a fair number of 9 days of road closure on German Flats. Some of you may remember, and that was a pretty intense project on such a busy road. Often, like many of the other culverts we've scoped out are on much less busy roads, tend to be farther off the beaten track. But we'll just note that project is pretty cool because it was the second culvert on Lockwood Brook that was replaced. And so, this project, when Corey started, actually, I think in 2014, there was a culvert that was replaced farther down. And so this allowed that connectivity for the brook trout to extend all the way up into the
And
headwaters.
did the Friends help secure funding?
Yeah, the Friends, as far as I can tell, did essentially all of the fundraising. A lot of it for Lockwood was through cooperative agreements with U.S. Fish and Wildlife and the U.S. Forest Service. And then closing it out, there was a lot of funding brought in through the Lake Champlain Basin program. Right now, we're looking at a potential project on Hanks Brook and Warren, a culvert replacement. And as we've been sort of surveying the landscape of this particular kind of project, the federal agencies are probably not going to be strong partners for funding anyways in the near term, but the Lake Champlain Basin program still has a nice pot of money for this work moving forward. The nice thing about culverts is that they also span into the world of flood resilience, and into the world of clean water and sort of phosphorus reduction. So there's a real opportunity there to cobble together diverse fundings. And so when we talk about sort of Julie's role as a project manager, our organization also plays this role as a fundraiser to go out and get the funding to implement these projects.
I mean, I think that we are always replacing culverts, and I think that would be an area of special interest.
Yeah.
York and I have kind of connected on one or two, and we've got, a master list that's really oriented towards aquatic organism passage, but also always looking at those co-benefits. And that's why it's really important to connect with the towns. It's like, okay, what are we looking at, but what's important from your perspective?
And I'll just say that the Hanks Brook over in Warren, it wasn't on our aquatic organism passage priority list, but as we've gone through and sort of assessed the site, it turns out that it might reconnect 2 to 3 miles of like pristine brook trout headwater habitat. So we could probably learn a lot from just looking at what your top 20 culverts are and seeing where there's intersection.
Any other questions?
So is some of that funding private funding, or is it primarily?
I mean, for these kinds of projects that we're talking about, no, we would be going after larger grant. Yeah, money. And I'm starting to get really connected to the network of how to, suss those out and which ones are viable and which ones, are appropriate for which kinds of projects. Yeah. So we work really closely with CBRP, the Clean Water Service Provider, and that's really the money for phosphorus-related clean water projects. So that's one avenue. And then there's like the aquatic organism passage stuff, and really getting a handle on where to go to for what pots of money for what types of projects.
Yeah, I could see it's probably helpful to have town support as you're looking for that money if you need
Yeah, absolutely.
letters of support or whatever from the town.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and we want to make sure that it's the right project for the right time based on other town planning, too, right?
Yeah, that's kind of on our list, is getting a schedule or list of all the culverts that are in town, and then kind of many of them are due for replacement and upsizing and all. So
I have become an expert culvert crawler after the surgery.
Yeah. Hopefully not too
So
much.
it's just worth pointing out what a resource the Friends have been on things like participating on the Irisville master planning, helping advise on Farley Park design, things like that really are helpful as we look at, have groups looking at things from different perspectives, from the development perspective, to understand the relationship with water quality and how to shape that. So that was really helpful, especially at Irisville.
And you're also following the Lower Fairgrounds
Yeah, absolutely.
location?
Yeah. We meet with Brian on various things at least every month, if not more so, yeah. So we've talked about it specifically and what collaborating with him on that would look like. Been on your radar for quite some time, right?
Yeah. I'm Brian wears sort of two hats in terms of our relationship with him, both in terms of the clean water service provider, which is where the phosphorus funding comes from, and then as like a planning partner. And so we've been in conversation with him wearing both hats around the fairgrounds parcel and what that might look like and what our involvement might look like.
Thanks.
And then with our native plant nursery, we'll have the trees that might go in someplace like that eventually.
Yeah, that's the only other thing I would just mention. I mean, I appreciate that emphasis on culverts, and we're happy to have many culvert conversations. And these larger projects can come in many different forms, and some of them were sort of fine-tuned machine, in terms of riparian buffer restoration or things right along the river. We have a very clear mechanism for funding those kinds of projects and getting them in the ground. Some of them do actually tap into private foundation dollars here and there. And some of them we're sort of learning about things more like wetland restoration, where we're working with some of our sort of regional partners to identify what fundable strategies do exist for that kind of project, and we can bring those forward. So, there's some things we're happy to sort of jump right in on, and there's other things that, I think it might be months and years of ongoing conversation, but I think we have a real interest in collaborating in this sort of diversity of what these projects might look like. Including giant, complicated soil removal projects.
So we really would like for this to be ongoing. I can certainly touch base with York on, what it looks like to talk about specific ideas and projects and things like that. But we'd like to make sure that you all know about events to attend with the community or our latest news. So if you have thoughts about how we can make sure to keep the dialogue going, we'd really love that.
To state the obvious, we also have a unique relationship with our landlord-tenant relationship with you
Yes.
guys.
That's right.
Yeah, it's been good. York's been wonderful in that respect.
I was like, what's Brian talking about?
I want to just harp on that, and then I will let you guys have your time back. But next, in 2 days, we're having a conversation with some regional partners about the Act 76 Flood Safety Act, and about what, a public presentation around that could potentially look like in this community. We've been hosting for all of last year, and we plan to do this basically ad nauseum into the future, sort of flood resilience events with the planning district. I think that these kind of events are sort of educational for the broader community, but they're also just a really great place for town leadership to come and see what other communities are doing, what the sort of strategies are, and then in some respects also just to hear from the people who attend and your sort of constituents. And I think that, I would strongly encourage you guys to find the time to make it to these kind of events in the future. Also, swimming in the river on December 31st. So, we'll make strong moves of you all.
So sadly for me, I subscribed to your email after.
Just missed.
Darn.
Well,
You're lucky you weren't on the wrong side of the ice.
This year was brutal. We were squatting down in knee-deep water for 2 minutes, but you gotta do it. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much for giving us the time.
Thank you.
Reach
Nice
out
to meet you
anytime,
all.
questions
Yeah.
or ideas.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Robin, you want to join us for water connection, wastewater policy? I guess just a couple things that you teed it up in your town administrator's report. The Water Commission met recently to talk about the wastewater project, and as we move further along with wastewater construction, we need to have start having more focused discussions on operations and how the plant would be managed. I think some of us have talked, but I don't think there's been a public discussion around the group, that the Water Commission makes sense as being the advisory group, just to be the water and wastewater group and not have two different bodies. And one thing that Robin has been very keen on reminding folks is that if as we're planning on putting in a wastewater connections to properties, we should make sure that it's consistent with possible water connections, and that there's a certain separation that needs to happen, that we not make that impossible in the future if a property wants to hook up. So that needs to be part of the design process. Another part of that discussion is whether water connection should be a requirement for wastewater connection, because there's a need to monitor the amount of water in order to understand what's going out to control capacity of the plant. So far, of the priority property owners who have signed up, the vast majority have said they wanted to hook up to water. There are some who don't want to hook up to water. So that's a point. How do we deal with those going forward? The Water Commission talked last week about the two options are really hook up to water or monitor your own well, so that we all have an understanding of how much inflow is going in, so how much outflow is going in. That's my understanding. Robin can explain it a lot better than me. I'm sure.
So our software, Nemric, that we use in the town office, which we bill water on, is set up so that if we meter the water, we're working on the total inflows of the water coming in outflows of wastewater. And if you look at most of the systems that are billing today in Vermont, they monitor the inflows either in cubic feet or in gallons, etc. So that's a metering issue. Second thing is we've got a field that's capacity is based on 210 gallons per day for a residential unit. Now, if we monitor our water and we find that we're using a lot less water than in the original calculations for the 210, we could go down to 190 or to 200. Well, if we went down to 190, we'd increase the capacity of our field by 10%, thereby being able to serve more people.
Mhm.
So I think the Water Commission really want to make sure that every house is metered from a point of view. We go back to 2006, 2007. The select board took a position that they didn't want to have people make it mandatory for people to hook up. So everyone hooked up to the water system at the moment is hooked up because they wanted to be hooked up, or they needed to be hooked up. And I for one didn't feel that it was Water Commission's position to say, well, should we make it mandatory or not? I think it's a select board thing. But there is one other variable that I throw in here, and Fred, you're probably more aware of this than anyone. Not all water in Waitsfield is good water coming from the wells. Some of it's pretty bad. I've owned a couple of buildings in Waitsfield, and I was more than happy to get onto town water because it was very irony and red in colour. I know there's one property that doesn't want to hook up, which is condominiums. And one of the owners has stated, I don't think our water's very good. But it's a condominium decision as to whether they hook up. So I think it's really up to the select board to say. I think over time, most of the people in Waitsfield will hook up to the water. It's not a question of if, but when. So the question is, do you want to have a policy that says, yes, we want everyone to hook up? Or do you want to have a policy that still allows it to be sort of dripping, each person hooking up as they want to hook up? Is that a fair summary of it?
And what's explain the ideas behind the financing of connections?
Okay.
Water connections.
Water
just to be
connection,
clear.
Well, we started this with one customer in Carroll Road, and they couldn't afford to hook up to the water. And so I looked at it and we discussed it as in the wastewater. Over a 7 to 10 year period, if we paid for the connection, we would get that money back from the debt service payments. So effectively, we're building the total amount of connections, and over that time, we've been able to not have any increase in water costs to the customers. And in the next 5 to 10 years, we'll start to aggressively reduce the cost to water customers because our debt service will have so much inflows.
So
So-
User fees, essentially, more people connected or more homes or businesses connected creates more user fees and that.
Yeah, water works exactly the opposite to wastewater. Okay, because the more people you connect to it, the more people you spread your costs over, and the less it is. And we started at a rate of over $800 a residential house, and we're at 651.
no, less than that. My quarterly is 147.50.
So six something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, 596.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. So, we've already reduced the cost by 25%. If we insist that everybody is, I personally would like to see everybody in Waitsfield hooked up from a water quality point of view and from reducing the cost to everyone in Waitsfield, but that's a personal opinion. But if we have people hooked up, it will increase the reduction in cost to our users.
How many of the kind of potential connections, what percentage have connected? Because you put in, like, I forget what they're called, the little stub
Well, we
pipes
put
along.
when we built it in 2007, and as background for you, I was on a task force in 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12. It was a long time. We put stubs in at 96% of properties in town. So the water shut-off is in the right of way at the moment. So the only connection we have to do is put the connecting pipe in. The water services will pay for it up to the house. It'll still be the owner's responsibility to do the inside plumbing, although we'd supply the meter and valves and everything. Does that answer your question?
So of the 95%, I guess how many have actually connected? I'm just curious, are you at 50% or?
No. Yes, over 50% are connected in the water service area. We bill 143 customers every month, every quarter. Some of them are outside the water service area, which is Irisville residential. So Irisville and then the Waitsfield residential area.
Mhm.
On the road up to the tank. So anybody who's near the pipe coming down from the tank can actually connect as well. We have a number of users there.
The mobile
We-
home park off of Trombley Road is
Yeah.
a user. We just hooked up those new houses that the Shea brothers did.
Yeah.
And it goes south to the Eagles. That was a little after the fact, right?
Yes, the Eagles well failed, and they came to us and said, could we hook up? And we did an extra contract. It was slightly complex, but the Eagles actually helped reduce the cost for the other users because there are 17 properties in that site, and the cost of connection was relatively low to get them on board.
Mhm.
And the same with the Shays, there was already a connection there, so it was relatively low cost.
And if we don't require mandatory hookup, to hook up to wastewater, the alternative would be the landowner buy a meter that we have access to and can monitor.
we will sell the landowner the meter.
For wastewater.
And that would be a requirement
For
of hooking up to
water,
Yeah,
wastewater.
so they would
Meter
take
on the
their,
well.
they
They would
would,
meter their own well.
yes. And that's not without its challenges, you know.
Presumably that's like a Wi-Fi enabled meter or something that
You have
can
a meter and then you have an MXU which goes on the side of the building. And our water operator drives up and down town with his machine. It goes ping, 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 taking the readings. He then brings it back, downloads the readings, and we produce the bills.
And
So just, the reason I ask is just if it's the same meter you're using on your pipe and the same MXU or whatever you call it, presumably that is
That's what we've got to do.
that's a viable
Yeah.
option.
It's a must.
It's a must. Our goal here is to increase the capacity of our wastewater field. If we can increase the capacity of our wastewater field, we then reduce the cost burden to whoever's paying.
And just, you said this earlier, but just to clarify, the original permit we get from DEC is based on a estimate, the 210 gallons of, estimated average usage per equivalent residential unit. If we get good data by measuring all the water usage, which translates, water in should be the same as water out in wastewater. That good data would allow us to re-permit once we have enough data. Like you have to wait a little while. You can't do it, a week after you turn on, but maybe 2 years after you turn on, we could re-permit based on actual usage. And if that actual usage, like you said, is 190 instead of 210, then we're able to connect more users, generate more fees.
Well, one of the interesting things I found out as I'm doing the research on the billing is we allow our customers in Waitsfield 10,000 gallons per residence every quarter. They get that amount of water free because that's what was considered the average. But a lot of the billing on wastewater is actually done on 8,000 gallons. And that suggests to me that people are using less water than 10,000 gallons.
See, 10,000 a quarter.
Yeah. And the billing is done on 8,000. So,
But that's like half of the wastewater number.
but wastewater and water you can't gauge because wastewater is designed to have the peak during the day. So the kids come home in the dinner, mother and father come home, 6 o'clock you get your peak wastewater going into the wastewater system. And that's what it's designed for. But now imagine Waitsfield. How many people have children in Waitsfield in their houses? Okay. Are they single people? Are they just couples? Look at the demographic that we've got here. We're going to have a lower usage, I believe, than maybe Burlington or somewhere like that. So I think the signs are good, but we have to monitor it to prove it.
Remind me how we deal with Lawson's, because a lot of the water that goes into their plant leaves in bottles.
We'll have to have a way of getting a certification from Lawson's that says, okay, this is the amount of water that went. But the other thing you have to understand, Lawson's have they have a tertiary advanced system. It's very advanced. So, and what was that phrase you used in the email today?
I don't know.
No, the one about monitoring.
The one I sent this afternoon?
Yeah. What was the 5-letter acronym?
SCADA.
Oh, SCADA?
SCADA.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lawson's have a SCADA system.
Do they really?
They do.
Wow.
And I'm sure that we can get the data of how much of their wastewater is going in to. But having said that, Lawson's are not on the priority list. I don't believe you're putting a pipe up Carroll Road.
No, Lawson's has they
Yeah.
built basically a private treatment system that some other customers in that park also connect to.
Yes, there's the park that connects to it.
So it's unlikely, like it wouldn't make sense for them to abandon that because they
Yeah.
just invested in it. And their waste it's different. It's coming straight from the brewery, full of all kinds of biological.
And that's
Active
another area
material.
that the billing, when you look at other systems around the state, they actually charge a premium when you have, I think it's a high level of BOD.
Yeah.
So you've got to be very careful who you're connecting to the system. This is a deep dive, you know.
Yeah, I know Morrison has been kind of going back and forth over their brewery and Butternut Mountain Farm syrup processing.
Yeah, it's the syrup. Yeah.
One thing I thought I saw somewhere in here, York, that so far we've identified like four potential wastewater customers that don't want to connect to water.
It's 7, but JV says between 4 and 8.
Well, 8 haven't responded. Sorry, 4 haven't responded, 4 have responded. So the unknown unknowns are 4. And the known unknown.
The known knows
No,
are
no,
The known
that's- My point is, I guess the universe is
But-
small. It's not like,
Oh, yeah,
it's not like the whole
yeah, and
service area,
yeah.
tons and tons
And
of
there's
customers.
several that are connecting to wastewater that are also connecting to water for the first time.
the majority.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
No, the majority-
The majority are already
the
connected
majority
to
of
water.
priorities are already connected to water.
Oh, okay.
There are 12 priorities. But remember, just because you're a priority today doesn't mean you won't have more added to the list later on.
And conceptually, the parcels that don't want to hook up to water are probably ones with more recent wells, right?
No,
Because they've just invested in a well that the pump is not going to fail. No,
no.
that doesn't have any impact.
I think they feel their well's good enough.
Right.
They
I guess
don't
that,
connect to it, or it's a committee decision and the committee's taken the easy way.
but similar to Eagles, probable new connections, even of people who have said no to this point, if their well pump fails or their casing or, other things like that, and they'll say, now I would like to sign up, please, rather than put in a new well, right?
They don't have the choice. The ordinance is very clear that if your well fails,
Okay. Thank you. for that.
no new wells are to be put in town.
That makes sense.
And we recently had a
Within
well
500.
failure in the new hookup in Irisville.
One option, I don't know if this is the right option, but one option, I think I read from you guys that for those customers that want wastewater, saying now they don't want water, would be for the water system to essentially fund the water connection as one option. Or if they still don't want to do that, then we, the select board, could require them to purchase the meter. So like, here's a free option that gets you off your well and onto town water. You'd have to pay the monthly user fees. If you don't want to do that, you need to buy a meter.
That would be the option.
That would be
yeah.
one option, as opposed to just a mandatory, like you need to, if you want wastewater, you have to connect to water.
But it's mandatory, but it's also voluntary because we're not compelling people to hook up to wastewater. So we could say it's a package deal. You hook up to wastewater for the convenience, the efficiency of the system. So we have control over all the meters. That's just a requirement of hooking up to wastewater. You hook up to water. I mean, especially if the town is able to pay for most of that water connection through reserves that we then would repay ourselves over time. I don't think that is especially onerous, but
Yeah,
that's
no,
other
agreed.
people disagree.
Yeah, I mean, it would be perhaps a similar argument that we've used with wastewater, that when your system fails, the cost to replace it is, many years of fees equivalent. The cost to replace a well is substantial too.
So just going back to the kind of original opening of the conversation, we haven't made the decision whose responsibility managing the system is. Ultimately, it's the select board's. We've benefited by having a very active and engaged water commission. We need to start talking about, once we really pull the trigger on construction, assuming we do, we're gonna need to develop an ordinance, and that's where you're gonna address all these issues. And I think the Water Commission met last week and are willing to take the lead on the ordinance, with a lot of, with Robin's help, who was very involved in drafting the first ordinance. I think that's a decision that we ought to make, that I don't see the select board taking the lead on that as far as the first step. I think we need to be aware and understand all the implications of it, but we've got a lot on our plate and a lot more coming up.
Yeah, I think that the wastewater project team would want to engage on that too. And if we could do that in collaboration with Robin, that has more experience than any of us, because.
Well, I saw it as the commission putting forward a recommendation, and then everybody reviews it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in contact indirectly with A&R this week. They just finished helping Springfield put together a new ordinance. And the message I got back was, copy that one first and then see where you want to go.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, and just a related topic to all this is, we have a 3-year contract with Simmons Operating Systems, Simons, who has been our operator from day one. And from my perspective, Robin, correct me if I'm wrong, we're really pleased with them. Nate has been out looking for leaks at 3 a.m. for the last 2 weeks. And their 3-year contract expires at the end of this year. So a conversation needs to be, do we have one operator or do we have 2 operators, which doesn't make really any sense from an efficiency standpoint. And to their credit, Nate and Simons has been helpful in making the engineer designing the system aware of some of the considerations that need to go into having a water system and a wastewater system. And it's really important that the folks who are going to be operating the system are involved in the design of the system. Is that so?
Absolutely. I mean, with the correct design, and I was working with York today on this, we could see a 15 to 20% discount, or not discount, saving in the operating costs of the wastewater system. And simply put, if we have controls that we can monitor and control off-site, it means someone doesn't have to come down to the system every day. And that's where the real cost is. It's that hour from Montpelier, hour back, and that there are tremendous cost savings if we organize correctly.
Mm-hmm.
I know already with SOS taking part in conversations with the engineering firm for the wastewater, there's been pretty big alterations to the plan. That's going to make operating the system better and more efficient. And we plan on continuing that conversation.
Yeah, we didn't do this with the water system, and mistakes were made, which have been rectified since. But we learned from that get the operator involved really early on, and you'll get a better product.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I think just to clarify, what would be great for us today, because JB is going out to houses, property owners almost every day, gathering information, making measurements. If he has direction from the select board to say, oh, just so you know, you have to connect to water, or you have to meter your well if you're not going to connect to water, it's going to help inform, the priority parcel owners he goes and talks to, and then working with Du Bois and King. So that's probably the biggest thing that we definitely need direction on.
Just ballpark, how much is meter and the related equipment? How much would that
Think
cost?
about $1,000 for a 3/4 inch meter, but if you get up in the 2-inch or inch and a half, 2-inch, 4-inch, then the meters get really expensive because they're not made in bulk. So you have to be a bit careful as to what the water system is serving.
Yeah, but a typical household would be.
Typical
more
household will be a
1,000 bucks.
1 inch or 3/4 inch. And
Yeah.
last time, and I'm a year behind on this because I haven't quite caught up yet. But last time I looked, it was about $1,000 for all the bits.
Just to understand what York had in his report, the Water Commission made the recommendation to at least require the purchase and installation of the meter. But you're saying, or someone is saying, that there's still an open question of whether we want to go further.
I mean, the Water Commission believed it would be a good idea for everybody to be on town water, but also believed that it wasn't their position to say that. It's really your call.
This is the first time we're having this conversation. I'm wondering whether
Mull it over.
that if we're ready to, what additional information do you think we would need to make a decision?
I mean, for me also, I just want to say like, it's hard for me to judge. I'm just saying because I've been really spending time on this. On the one hand, what is a priority parcel for? It's to public health, the river health, et cetera, right? On the other hand, we're trying to advocate wastewater for smart growth, for building housing, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, those are two very different things. The system is small, so allocation is a question that's gonna, I think, probably receive a lot of attention, and the select board is gonna be, the captain of that ship, I think 100%. So I believe the demand is gonna far outweigh the supply. So on the one hand, you have public health, river health. On the other hand, you say allocation really matters. If that makes sense in terms of if you want to have a more strict policy, it doesn't mean that it won't be used, but it means that maybe a priority parcel, it's a priority parcel for a reason, might decide not to join on wastewater, which is a risk. Is that fair, Robert?
Yeah,
So
what the-
you're saying that if you were to say it was mandatory, you might stop someone saying, I'm going to go for water.
Certainly.
Wastewater.
Wastewater.
I mean, I'm not saying, I don't know. It seems like that's.
Yeah, no, that was my
a risk.
question that I was gonna ask is, look, that's,
I think from my experience dealing with, this is the second wastewater package we put in the town. The first one was the loan system that we paid for people's wastewater. And what happened there was all the businesses jumped on it and got on with it. And there was no residential. And I think from an allocation point of view, and you understand where I'm coming from on this, York, that you've got to sort of make sure you've got enough allocation for housing, which tends to be slower in their ability to make decisions than a business owner who says, yes, I need that, I'll take it tomorrow.
Yeah.
And getting that balance is going to be really, really important.
And it's not uncommon in Vermont for wastewater ordinances to allocate by use.
Yeah.
30% of this capacity is reserved for residential or for industrial or whatever the town's policies and goals are.
So,
I could see an emphasis on residential.
but at the moment, the commitment is to the priority parcels, which are in the river boundaries and have overlapping wells, etc. But there's going to be capacity left over from those priority parcels, and there's a sense that you've got to get that capacity placed because you want to get that income coming in.
Yeah.
But you've also got to think long term, saying, well, what are we trying to do here? Is it housing, or is it to make sure every business has a good access to the wastewater system?
and remind me, the priority parcels, if fully signed up, are 70%, is that correct?
Roughly, yeah, just over 70%.
Of our current field allocation,
Right.
which again, if the meter if the meters, if the water usage is lower, could increase.
Yeah. So in my memory anyway, the part of the initial thinking on the wastewater connections is that the wastewater, the town essentially would cover the connection from the big pipe along Route 100 to the individual house or business. And that's a significant incentive if you're a priority parcel that is in the river corridor of the floodplain or has an overlapping well or a really old leach field that's probably failed. You're incentivizing those people to those identified priority parcels to connect because you're saying we're going to connect you for free. We're not saying that. We haven't said that yet for future people that connect. So there is an incentive, I think, to get the priority parcels to connect, and the vast majority of them have indicated interest. We haven't gone through like the final easement process where they actually like sign on the dotted line. We're going to come dig a hole across your yard, and you're signing up to pay, a bunch of user fees once you connect. But preliminary interest has been like 90-something% of those priority parcels, which is awesome. That's great.
Correct me if I'm wrong, with the water system, we paid for connections, but then after the system was online, after that first round, it was up to subsequent landowners who wanted to connect, it was up to them to pay the cost until the change in policy recently when we decided to kind of pay for it and pay it back over time.
Yeah, I'll just clarify that we connected people in the service area,
Yeah.
which is the town, not along Tremblay Road, etc. They had to pay for their own connections there.
And then I go back to, it's not mandatory. The town's already providing an incentive to help folks connect by paying for that connection to the building. I wouldn't want to turn away somebody who really had a failing system, but if they had a failing system, they're going to have to solve that one way or another. And this is the most effective way to do it. So I don't know, I'm inclined to say, let's write an ordinance that says connection is just part of the package. But
Connection to water, if you want wastewater connection
Yeah.
to water, comes with the deal.
what have the arguments been against that you were aware of?
One of our commissioners just didn't feel it was necessary to make it mandatory, but he felt it was a good thing to be connected to water.
One of
For
the
the-
water commissioners.
Yes.
I mean, right
I
now,
thought it was okay with that.
No, he wanted. He didn't see. He thought it was a great thing to make it a connection, but he wasn't. But he didn't feel we should make the recommendation that it be mandatory. So I think you've got to think about long term for the town. What do you want to happen in the town with this wastewater system? What do you want to happen in the town with the water system? And I think to get a good cohesive system running where everybody is on the same program, I think it's better.
Much cleaner from a billing standpoint
And I
service
just keep going back
administration.
to the quality of water in town. It's just, if you were to test the 4 properties that have said they're really not interested in connecting to water, I wonder how they would test out in terms of the quality of water.
is there a way to incentivize testing their water, or would that be unethical, or
I'm not sure.
I'm not
Yeah,
sure
I
either.
don't know.
Yeah,
But
I think you
It'd
could
have to
do
be
it.
voluntary.
It has to be voluntary.
I live outside of the service area and my water is extremely irony and Clearwater is a great business, but when the filter
Yeah.
fills up, everything gets very brown.
But that assumes you have a treatment system like
We are lucky that we had one when we moved in and we've had to maintain it. And
we lived in a house without one initially, and after we replaced every appliance in the house,
Gosh.
the washer, or the washing machine,
Mhm.
the dishwasher, we got a treatment system. So the cost of having crappy water it will catch up to you eventually, either through getting a treatment system or replacing your appliances. to get all
I
cleaned
was
up.
one of the original connectors to the water system, and it is night and day. I mean, this water is so good,
Yeah.
our water.
So I would support your position of like, make it mandatory because there's significant incentives built in. And if someone's already said, I want to do wastewater, in part because of that incentive to connect, we're essentially offering the same incentive for water, saying we'll bring the pipe to you. You don't have to pay anything. The meter presumably is included in that offer. Is that correct?
So I was reading something.
If
Yes.
if someone
If they connect
that wants
water.
wastewater said, okay, I want water too, you would pay for the connection to their home or business.
The pipe to their building.
Yeah.
But not inside.
And what about the meter? Was
We
the
will give
question.
them the meter as well.
Yeah. So to me, there's a significant incentive to encourage people to do that. The other thing in favor, in my head anyway, of going the mandatory route, in addition to what Robin said around the administration and just cleaner billing and all, is it's a small group of people. Like if it was half the people on the system, that would worry me that a lot of people might just say, screw it, then I don't want anything to do with either. But if we're talking 8 people,
Well, three of the properties are multifamily properties that have, multiple apartments and one must presume that the people in there are not necessarily owners, but property renters.
So,
Well, I mean,
It's a
right now,
combination, yeah.
I mean, you have a carrot and stick. I mean, like you said, I mean, you're incentivizing connection to water, but you're also, we have to then charge for a well meter. So you're coming from both sides, quality water, incentivizing hookup with just a plumber fee, or you have to pay to put a meter on a well. So, I mean, you're coming from both sides if you decide not to make it mandatory.
Also, we don't know, is there any danger if the water from a private well is going into our system, if that's contaminated with PFAS or other things, that we know that our water that's going through their bathrooms and into the wastewater system is tested on an annual basis. So we know it doesn't have any contaminants, but we won't know that with private wells.
That's very interesting. I hadn't even thought
I
about
know.
that.
You gotta, like,
Because
pull their
most of the people with PFAS are downtown. So it's a well that's been located downtown, in Craftsbury or somewhere like that. And that's why we're so happy to have the well up there and why we've got the overlay district now
Yes.
that protects the well.
what impact would it have if there was PFAS or other contaminants that made it into the wastewater?
Well, the more
Storage.
PFAS is going into the Mad River at the end of the day.
That's pretty interesting.
Well, and the new regulations started on January 1st, the new PFAS public water system regulations that
I'm
Vermont has passed.
Oh,
So,
so they've upped the standard, have they?
yes, they kept the proposed limits that the Biden administration had put in and that the Trump administration has repealed. But the state has begun its program of, if you are a public water system under the Clean Water Act, which is a certain number of people per days, it does not include most restaurants or churches, because I believe it's 50. If you have the same people in the building over 50 days a year, then, so for example, childcare centers and other places like that I'm on board of one, and so we are having to comply with that. And begin testing for PFAS and eliminate it if it's there.
And is it multifamily dwellings as well?
I think,
Depends on how
it's
many
a-
families.
yeah, I think, I'm not sure.
Okay,
Sure.
I'm just wondering if any of this list.
I can send you,
I
I
think
can,
it's 20, but I'm not.
Okay,
not
then we're not
I
in
believe
that
it's
league.
20, I believe it's 24. I can send you a link to the new rules, since it's in your area. Water.
I need some sleep.
Yeah.
What do you think, Fred?
Let's do it.
So let's make it part of the package.
Yeah.
Fine with that.
Works for me.
So how about a motion to request that the Water Commission develop a first draft of the wastewater ordinance that would include a requirement that hooking up to wastewater requires hooking up to municipal water?
Second?
Now you're making the motion.
Oh. So
Second,
thanks for.
any second? Second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Hi.
So this will give JB his direction.
Yeah, this, it was important.
Yeah, good.
Thank you, Robin.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome back, Rob.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Well, let me just bring up one other lovely little subject.
Oh, time's tight on this
You
one.
were shuffling your papers.
No, so Nate's testing again tonight. He's testing again tomorrow night. And at some point, we're going to find where the problem lies.
Culprit.
Now, there is a document lying around somewhere in this place that talks about when there is an emergency with the water system, 2 select board members and 2 water commission members meet and decide what to do. Okay, this was put together a long time ago.
Their emergency EOP.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I don't want to get to the point where Nate brings us up and says, I found it. I want to do this.
We should find that first.
I want a procedure in place
Yeah.
for us to deal with it. Now, it's a water commission cost. But it's if it's in the middle of Route 100, it's a town problem.
Mhm.
So I've had a couple of conversations with people who.
We've got no data here.
Focusing down into the village.
It's between Carroll Road and the fire station.
I sent an email I got to Nate recently about one,
From the telecom company.
yes.
Oh, I sent that to him too.
And then Fred, you had thought that behind the Smithsonian, there's
Open water.
open water.
And that's, have you heard about this?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean, there's a fire hydrant within 50, 75 feet of the
Yeah.
river. And the only open,
water. It's just
Water.
on the other side of the bridge. Yeah.
or just down,
Yeah.
yeah.
So next couple of days, you should zero in on it.
We'll
And
see.
then what's your point about the decision-making process that we need?
Well, so I had a meeting with Lane Simon today, and we were talking contracts, we were talking many things. And one of the comments Nate made to me was, Nate being our water operator, was that some towns have a leak, they don't do anything about it till the summer. Because it's cold, frigid, everything's frozen, they can't do anything about it, so they ignore it. So I was called by the Valley Reporter today, asking for some data. And I'm going to share the same data I shared with Lisa. Our system usually uses 11% of our permitted capacity. We're currently using 32% of our permitted capacity because of the leak. So some towns will have 30, 40 or 50% of their capacity in leak at one point in time. So this isn't earth-shattering. This isn't something that we really need to worry about. And I'm talking permitted capacity. the actual capacity of the area is at least double that. It's just that the state permit us. So, we're permitted to have 348,000 gallons of water a day.
It's a lot of water.
That's a lot of water. So, depending on where it is, we've got to make a decision. Do we act now? If we don't have enough data, do we dig test holes? There may be many choices we're faced with.
The pump is running nonstop though, more or less.
I think it's running are about 3 times as long.
Yeah.
Judging from the utility.
Although it was designed to run a much higher capacity.
Yeah, I mean, our tank is 400,000 gallons. And I know this is possibly a bad analogy, but we are taking 5 tanks a month and they're going into the water. I mean, it's that amount of water.
Is there a significant cost though to the system or operation of the system?
Electric and our bills from SOS. But we have a fairly significant reserve that was for emergencies, for maintenance and for improvements.
How much more is the electricity and monitoring with this situation?
I don't know.
The electricity's been probably, it's not 3 times, 2 to 2.5 times.
Yeah.
And Robin, I think we talked about this, but the pump is okay because it's meant to pump a lot more water than we currently use.
Correct. And
So-
I talked to Nate about this, and it's something I need to look at the asset management plan to see what they said the life of the pump is. Because we're 15 years into the system now. So sooner or later, we're going to be changing that pump.
And that's why we have reserves.
Yes.
And so it may come down to it to estimate the cost of, or feasibility, number one, and then cost of doing something in February or March versus,
Or immediately, depending on what.
no, I mean,
Yeah.
we're in February now, immediately.
So we're all focused on where is it?
Right.
I'm trying to get us to focus
Right,
on,
there's a next
okay, what
thing.
are we going to do about this when we find out?
Yeah, and I think your point is kind of, if sounds like there is a written process and procedure on how to deal with things like this. And let's follow that rather than
Yeah, 2
making a
people from the
hasty
select board
decision.
and 2 people from the water commission.
Do you want to try to identify 2 people right now since,
Well,
or we can worry
up
about
until
that?
last March, it was Peter Reynolds and myself. And Peter Reynolds is a really good person to have. He's a water operator. He's just sensible when it comes to this sort of stuff.
Either he or Peter Rorschach, who also is an engineer. I'm good with you and Pete.
Yeah,
And you would then want 2 from the select board, if memory serves.
Yeah, being on the water commission, I would be willing to do it. I have toured the system with Nate, York,
It's awesome.
know him well.
Yeah.
Who else wants to be there?
I'm willing to, unless anyone else wants it.
well, I'm as it's going to be possibly an emergency, I'm wondering if Fred's the better person.
I'm willing.
Yeah, because
Whatever you want.
there's going to be
Conversation.
there's going to be some outreach on this. Well,
But it also feels, and
Yeah.
I'm totally happy
Yeah,
if that
sorry,
makes sense,
I-
Fred,
Yeah.
no problem at all. But also feels like there's an economic argument around, like, if we try to fix it in February and it takes 3 times as long to dig through frozen ground, and we're gonna incur a lot more cost than we might save on
That's what I was
electric,
getting at, yeah.
on electric bill.
well, yes, there was a breakage in the islands. They had 30 inches of frost,
Oh, my
and
God.
they were jackhammering through that.
And it's
so-
deep this year, yeah.
Yeah,
It's really deep this year. So
Like Champlain just fully froze over today.
Oh, it did.
30 inches of frost.
Yeah.
Wow.
so it's
Get ready for mud season. It's
I
gonna be
think,
awesome.
Yeah, so that's one way to go.
I'm pretty confident that Robin can help work out the cost
Yeah.
benefit.
Totally.
Yeah.
Great. Fred it is. Awesome.
Sorry, sorry to add that to the agenda. I think it's,
No, I think it's very important.
yeah.
Glad you brought it up.
I'm just surprised. The process is, I thought it would be a lot quicker. But, there's only so many nights that they can go out at between 2 and 4.
10 below.
And we're getting one of our customers had a lot of air coming through our system. And she was worried about what it was, whether she was part of the leak. So Nate did a really nice email to her.
It was a nice
And-
email.
Sorry?
It was a nice email.
Yeah.
It was a really good explanation.
Um,
I suspect, I think a lot of people are experiencing that. They're just not being vocal about it.
I've experienced that it had been chlorinated. That's.
no, this was just air.
Oh, I got
because-
that email.
yeah.
I actually responded to her before Nate, but not in nearly as much detail. But it was the same answer.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Robin.
Thanks, Rob. So I don't think any of these following items are especially going to be time consuming. We did get a good audit report again. I thought that the overview of it in your report was very thorough and very good.
Good, thank you.
Does anybody have any questions? Or do you want to go through any of the findings?
The only thing I wanted to kind of confirm is we talk about the unassigned fund balance went up a little bit to 1.153 million. But I think that's before we took the 300 of reserves, right?
That was my understanding.
So the current, at the end of the year, once we
And I
took
think
those
that's right.
300, it says somewhere else that it's 853, 300 grand less. That's important for me, just thinking about the amount of that reserve relative to the target kind of emergency 2 months of funds we want to have on hand. I mean, we're still well above it, but it's not like, it's kind of why we used the 300 last year, is because we were like 5 times or something like that.
Yeah, you're right. And I don't know why that's not identified as clearly. I suspect it's just the way that an audit's done, I guess, but you're right. That's not the focus of the audit, I haven't seen the full audit yet. I've only seen the memo that Sandy and Steve produced, which is in the packet, but.
I guess I don't know if that money didn't actually leave until after that. Like
That's what I was wondering, was this like June 31 and the money was transferred July 1? Because it was, a ballot item that
Yeah.
went to next
June
year.
30, is that one of those trick accounting things?
It
June
It
31?
It should not have been,
June 31.
like we talked about in the office, and all of those should have been paid before the new fiscal year. But that could be, and I haven't seen the audit, so I can't say exactly.
Worst case,
But I can bring that up
Yeah.
and just ask for clarification.
Steve's memo,
he ballparked it at around 8.
yeah, it got to it eventually, and it's exactly $300,000 less. I can't find it in his report right now, but it makes sense. I just want to make sure in our heads we're connecting the dots that are as of the end of last year, our reserve balance or our unsigned fund balance was 850, not 1,150,000.
But they point out that we finished the year with $47,000 in the black, and we had
After.
bought a $95,000
Yeah.
vehicle.
Yeah.
During the year, so.
Yeah.
So I think our things are fiscally sound.
And we had 2 flooding events.
We had to what?
Flooding events. Yeah, does everyone, the wastewater, I hope that was clear enough that the wastewater was paid and then the ARPA funds reimbursed that payment, but those take months. So that's why the wastewater is noted.
Yeah, the wastewater fund's net position is negative 223 grand, but that's really a timing
That's right.
difference. Like we spend the money and then we apply for reimbursement from the state with the ARPA funds we've been awarded. And sometimes it takes them a while to turn that around, but we've gotten everything we've asked for eventually.
Well, we're still, York has a long relationship with FEMA.
No, I just with respect to
Basically,
the
that's right.
ARPA grant.
Yes.
FEMA denied the money for the North East Kingdom flooding events today.
Yeah, I did see that.
What happens?
That's not surprising.
They
They got denied.
Oh.
So
I think that's gonna be that's,
Well, I'll skip ahead just because we're talking about FEMA, and just real quick, my FEMA extensions were just approved.
and you should point out they were approved with,
That's why I said,
Glowing.
that's why I forwarded to you, just so you could see that they really liked my extension letters.
they was one of the best extension letters that FEMA has ever
Wonderful.
seen.
Yeah, so, which is funny, because I just did what they asked me. They're like, these are the bullet points we need you to respond to. And anyway, the point being, the extension was supposed to be till February, and they completely approved the extensions, except FEMA's making it be just to the end of the calendar year. So the extensions are till December 31st. And the chance of extending those further is going to become very, very difficult, which is a pretty big deal in case the culvert, there ends up being some hiccups for the two culverts or the bridge. But we're moving as fast as we can. As a matter of fact, the next FEMA meeting, the engineer that's engineering the contract for the two culverts is joining that meeting,
Mhm.
which is great to move forward.
One thing quickly, I'd like to see if we could do with Steve's help is on the debt side. We talked about the total debt of 3.5 million, 222 grand lower than last year. A chunk of that debt is really kind of pass-through debt, like for the decentralized wastewater system. That the Eagles and the
Oh, right.
Chinese restaurant, and a couple others participated in. Let's see, the town took out the loan for them to install their wastewater, and they pay us the debt service. So, we show it as revenue coming in from them and then going out as an expense to us. So the, carrying cost of the town, that's, in a way, it's kind of not really our debt. So
Well, the water debt is user paid too. So are you thinking we should ask Steve to give us a number for property tax? Debt that is on the general fund as opposed to special.
yes,
So you want to broken
debt
down.
that the town taxpayers are supporting versus debt that's kind of passed through.
Okay.
Because a chunk, like we talked about, our debt service being 6% of our total expenses. If you take all that other stuff out, it's more like 4%. And that, it's enough to matter to me.
Yeah.
If it was
Yeah.
a couple grand, I wouldn't care, but it's a chunk.
Yeah,
That's
that's
especially true if if we end up bonding for a town garage, we want to know what the impact on that debt service that the taxpayers are on the.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's a good idea. I'll ask Sandy and Steve on Wednesday. And they're both there.
Cool, awesome.
Anything else from the audit? Covered Bridge Society,
I'll just say, basically in short, we got a letter from Vermont Covered Bridge Society and a check for $1,000. $1,000 is towards the design of a headache bar. So I guess what I mostly would like, and we've talked about it, is would you like me to go out and get a few bids? Miles of Vermont Heavy Timber is interested, but I think it'd be appropriate maybe for this to get a few bids. I'm not going to put an RFP, would not be my plan unless you'd like me to.
And would the bid be for the design or for the
The design,
everything?
just the design. Yep, and if you want me just to ask Miles, I think that's appropriate too, depending on what his cost would be. I think it would be under what the procurement policy requires.
Yeah.
So if you want me just to say miles, what it'll cost, let's move forward, I'm happy to do that also. The only thing Vermont Uncovered Bridge Society would like is, for the $1,000 is, that we are willing to share that design for when other towns want to.
Is that the language, or is it requested rights too? Like, I'm just reading here.
I'd have to, because the way Miles put it, because Miles is the one actually that first told me about it, because he's on the Vermont Bridge Society. So when he talked to me, he made it sound like we as the Vermont Bridge, I don't remember exactly what the letter said, and so the letter said that.
Yeah,
Would like the rights, but when I talked to Miles, I was like, I don't see that being a problem. I mean,
from a practical perspective,
the
you
goal
would
is
care.
to share. I mean, the goal is to, I don't think.
Only if there's another contract that talks about what we have the rights to, like, in another design. Like, remember when we were working on the design contract that we went back and forth on about who owns the intellectual property. If a similar issue is implicated.
For this, do you think that would apply?
It's different in that neither one of us is a professional firm, so it seems less impactful to me. But I'm just curious whether it's like, please share the design with us, or whether it was like we want to be the owner of this.
To me, like for the town garage or something, I would care. Like
That's what
we're paying, and we should own that.
we were
Design.
discussing about that.
For this particularly, if we hire Miles to do the work, and Miles is on the Vermont Covered Bridge Society board and all that stuff. To me, that I don't care. You sure?
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, so I can't say. I don't foresee there being a problem. And the only reason I have somewhat of an opinion is because my partner, Erin, has gotten in fights with many places she contracts with to say, no, this is going to be shareable. And she's always won that battle.
I guess just connecting the dots more explicitly, a lot of design and architecture firms will say, this is our work while we're
Right,
working on
I
this,
see.
and we make sure to say if
That's
the
right.
project is over, that we want to retain
Yeah,
the rights
you need
to design.
permission.
I see.
The only thing that it would implicate is whether that firm that does the design, maybe it's Miles, would be fine with us sharing it. A lot of standard contracts are like, don't do that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, or ask for consent at least
Yeah.
before sharing.
Yep, exactly.
Like
I don't think it should be a problem. I just want to.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. So if we go with Miles, it's not going to be a problem.
Right.
That was the plan.
it doesn't work.
Right.
Do we even want to consider an electric eye type of system?
Is that
How would it work?
is that included?
lights Or,
It'd be 2 sensors,
right. And then how do you know as a driver that you're too tall?
whatever we put on the bridge is a warning, lights, gates.
Recording loudly says, "Hey, dummy."
The, the advantage would be, it'd be out of sight. You wouldn't see it. With a head knocker, it's going to be a structure that you're going to see on both sides of the bridge. The disadvantage is, well, it's never been done before. But it's not.
Yeah, I guess I
It's like-
wonder how you I like the idea, the technology is
Yeah,
is simple.
totally there,
I think
yeah.
it's there. Where would you mount the sensors, and then how would you alert the driver?
Well, it's whatever, red lights by the bridge or a gate comes down, whatever. I think the placement of the sensors would be difficult. But they'd be out of sight.
That,
Possible
Sounds like-
technical issues.
I'd like to
If-
look at both.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
would, and I just wanted
Yes.
to confirm whether the $1,000, whatever it is here for a clearance alert system, does it need to be a headache bar, or is any sort of clearance alert system?
I mean, and it has not been tried, right? I mean,
Not
there's only been
now.
one that just went in, Hattie Park was the first one, and now the Vermont Bridge.
Where?
Where is the one Hattie
Like
Park?
Linden?
Linden?
Yeah, and it was taken down.
Was it
Yeah,
down?
it was
But-
smashed.
Oh, right.
No.
Truck went right through it and laid it right there.
After it was built.
Did they make it to the bridge though?
No,
Maybe it's
Okay.
served some
no.
purpose.
It was a
after-
beautiful head knocker too. It had designs on it and everything to make it attractive. And the truck went through and laid it flat.
Yeah, I don't think the Vermont Bridge Society was comfortable and nobody was comfortable, so I recommend the Hattie Cars happen. Lyndon was like, we're doing it. And after it went in, Miles was like, everyone's like, okay, fine, we're okay with it. In terms of liability,
Linden also passed a charter change that the legislature approved, which made the amount of damages much, much higher,
right, which.
Oh, really?
which
we
is always an option.
Which, well, there's iterations of the ordinance that we built that in. which-
There's a state statute that has how much the max is.
Which is a lot.
Can't remember. Linden's a lot more. I think it's 5 times as much. I think maybe it's 2,000 or 2,000.
I'd rather have trucks not hitting the bridge
Yeah.
than collecting a big fee
100%.
if they did hit the
Yeah.
bridge.
Whatever the fee, it would cost us $80,000 last time we got there.
Well, so I got, if that's what you have, is the $1,000 check and from the Vermont Covered Bridge Society, and if you'd like to move forward with Headache Bar or with.
I think I'd like to see a design for a headache bar, but I'd also like to see if an electronic option is possible.
Yeah.
So Linden's is laser based
No,
now?
there's a physical.
It was beautiful.
You saw it?
They had pictures on WCAX.
Yeah,
Of
hopefully,
it laying in the street.
hopefully be a system.
One
that
week
can
they
take
show
It's
it
telling me it's laser based.
all set up, and they're
Pristine.
bragging about they get the headache bar up, and it's got some scroll work, some nice metal work on it. And then 2 weeks later, it's on the ground.
I mean, maybe before we go to Miles, I mean, I can ask Miles, what's been talked about for laser-based and a not physical barrier. And then the select board says, oh, well, this is the way we want to go. Miles probably is not the one to design the non-headache bar one.
It'd be,
But he might appreciate the aesthetics of it, like not wanting to put a big orange thing right in front of the bridge.
For sure.
Yeah.
I don't think we want to do that.
Well, this was Lindenville's after it got dinged by one truck.
Can't really see it, is it bent or something, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it says Miller's Run Bridge, 1878.
I don't think they make.
That is,
one.
that's
it was
nice looking.
nice. It was. Was.
I mean, I would hate to see a big
Um,
red flashing light on the bridge either.
I'm just on a-
It could be inside, it could be.
on a Facebook post from
Yeah,
the Vermont Covered Bridge Society, and they say, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No,
I think it could be discreet.
um, someone who seems very knowledgeable says that there is a laser sensor system on the Blair Covered Bridge in Campton, New Hampshire. Um,
Flare.
But maybe that's just to do it timestamp to record the offender. I'm not sure. So it's the same as a camera.
Yeah, just quick Google search of laser sensor for bridge height warning system.
Not
10,
much.
10 different
Is there?
vendors come up. Height alarm with laser measurement sensor, height detection of a truck at a bridge or tunnel. Like there's vendors out there that sell this stuff. Over height warning system.
So can we accept this? Ask Miles? Do we want to ask? I mean, there's some creative builders in town who I want to see if they'd be interested, but also follow up and try to find out if there's an electronic option.
And it's this $1,000, I think. I mean,
Maybe it
I'd have
could
to
be
read it
mounted
again.
on the bridge. One sensor going straight out from the bridge. Might not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Might not have to be a trip water.
It'd have to be set just right.
Yeah.
This.
Yeah, there's enough stuff out there that it looks like
No, I can't get it.
there are systems out there
This has
designed
a
for this
laser in it.
purpose.
Those flashing lights.
And maybe before we cash our check, just ask, hey, we want to explore this kind of
Yeah,
thing.
well, this, I
Do
mean, the
that.
goal is to have the bridge not covered.
I'm fine with
we're
low-tech,
okay,
but-
but if the goal
Yeah, I
is to
can
make
go
it
with
that. I bet there'd be a lot of
classy
opinions
looking
either way.
that we can then share with other towns, then maybe that $1,000 would not be.
Yeah. Right.
So maybe I'll reread the letter first.
The
So,
letter's not in here, right?
I meant to. include
Yes.
it.
No, it is.
Yes, it is.
No, no. Thank you. This is tech before tech. Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Clearance alert system, AKA headache bar.
so where are we?
Page of that letter.
No, I'm just, where we,
I think
we
that
do move forward.
I mean, do you want me to just basically read the letter, check with them to see if $1,000 is, if there's a, what's the word? If we have to design a physical structure to accept $1,000.
It says clearance alert system.
That's what I thought. So
Yeah.
that would include digital, I assume.
AKA headache bar. Is usually it's known as a headache bar. Yeah, I think clearance alert system
thought
is
is we
fine.
might just ask them, like, would you be, like, we want to explore a, laser-based system.
Or do you know about
Are you-
this?
Are you okay with that?
And maybe ask them if they are aware of
Yeah.
so we don't have to reinvent the wheel.
And then make sure that, if we don't design a physical structure, maybe we'll say, oh, well, this is clearly for a physical structure.
Let's just save the bridge.
I
They
would think
shouldn't,
so.
you wouldn't think they'd care.
Are the words in the
Might
letter?
give more value to them if we did if we use our $1,000 to do a design for a laser-based system.
So I can check with them, make sure we know and sounds like we're all interested in doing research, but we'll together. And then maybe just come back in 2 weeks. I mean, Miles is gonna be
Yeah.
busy. Vermont Heavy Timber is closing, we are closing the covered bridge, village covered bridge on Thursday at 9:00.
This
a.m.
Thursday?
Yep, for his inspection. It will take approximately 3 hours. So, I mean, I think it's okay if we stall him over 2 weeks. So
Yeah,
we'll
yeah,
go back.
yeah.
It's great though, that Miles he's
Yeah.
back in action.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I think he maybe took a few weeks off. That's
Yeah.
or
Good for him.
6 or 7 or 8.
Well, if we came up with a laser-based system, would we not be willing to share it with?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I think anything we come
I'm
up
fine
with, I'd be
sharing it.
fine sharing it to other towns. Okay, so, yep. Rural Solutions Cybersecurity 3-year contract. I had to admit, I tried to make sure I understood everything in there.
I had
A
to
lot
have
of
him walk
material.
me through it.
Yeah.
Um,
So maybe you could just a summary of where you.
I mean, it's the biggest summary is, and I think he's right. Most firms aren't going to do a 1-year contract because it's just not worth the time. Especially with this, he actually gave us a lot of price breaks, partially because prices he had told me he would do, and then when he really pulled the whole contract together, and it being a little more, but he'd sign on to that. And of course, there's a cost to that. And it's just more worth his time in 3 years. And honestly, I like the idea of locking in that cost for a few years. I think it's
Yeah.
beneficial for our budgeting. It's beneficial because we're locked into the price, which I think obviously is a benefit. And I would say anxious isn't the right word, but just about every day something's going on where I'm like, just hold on. Once we sign a contract, we can solve this problem. For example, Robin Morris is not checking his emails because he's waiting for his .gov email. I mean, he is. They're getting forwarded to his other email, but there's stuff that comes up almost every day. So as soon as we sign this, then we'll.
Just trying to get to the.
I also think changing vendors, like, it doesn't really make sense to change vendors every year because
Yeah.
the new vendor is going to say, "I'll rip all that old stuff out and replace it with all my stuff." And the $3,000 of equipment up front we'd
Yeah.
be spending every year.
The one thing I did, I thought it was the case, but I wasn't confident with the Microsoft 365 licensing that we are paying for it, that will be a savings, because that's gonna come out of the contract. So actually, it's not tons of money, but it's over $1,000 a year that we had budgeted, so
Yeah.
that's a little savings.
A few notable things from today section was quite eye-opening.
The what?
This where you went through our problems.
Yeah,
Almost,
I saw that too. It's like no protection, no protection. no protection.
yeah, I mean, it was a little risky putting it on there, and Thomas and I talked about it, and it's I just included in the packet. Expecting that work will happen very soon to remedy the biggest threats.
Might consider taking that out of the packet retroactively. Seems a little.
I mean,
What do you think?
I'm happy to take it out.
Just for security purposes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's if you want to sign a 3-year contract, then we'll move forward. And if you want to do something else, then I'll go back.
So
to
do we have the
Thomas.
contract?
I mean,
This is it, right?
Well, I don't see a lot of legal terms.
Except we talked about legal things multiple times, the few big risks that I saw, and I think he has another page which is not included in this that
There's
talks
a
about those legal.
there's a link to quote attachments, which I bet is all the
That's
legal.
right.
Just
And
wanna
so
look.
I had asked him like 3 questions.
I do just want to look at that. There's a link from the pack. Yeah.
Are we okay?
No, it's not the legal.
It's some of the biggest questions were like, for example, and I asked him several. One example is if their firm has a cyber threat, I wanted to make sure that they would notify us that their firm had a cyber threat, because then that could implicate us. The other biggest question I had was when they log in and go into our system to help us, is that one individual login just for our town, or does that worker log into one portal and then have access to every single client they have, which I did not want. And so, like, for example, both of those, the answer was very good.
I would just love to take a look at the actual contract that we would be signing, but I'm fine.
Yeah, that's
fine
fair.
authorizing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I just want to see what we're promising to do, and also what kind of the liability provisions are.
Do you wanna have a motion subject to you signing off on that?
Subject to legal review.
Sure. I can
In
share any
house.
concerns with the full board as an informational.
Yeah. So let's say a motion approving the contract subject to your review, and if you have any concerns, we'll bring it back to the next meeting.
Makes sense.
Okay, that's fair. That's a good idea.
Motion?
So I'd make a motion to approve the, what's the name? Rural
Rural
Solutions, 3-year IT support, network support contract, subject to prior legal review.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor? Aye.
That's a good idea.
Town meeting prep. Way back after the last town meeting, we had said we wanted to make an effort to bring more people out to town meeting. And a few of us, led by Dave, have met. And what is Emily's last name?
Hanson?
Belleville.
Bill, also was involved and surveyed the parents at the Waitsfield Elementary School.
Yep.
To ask a number of questions. The time of town meeting, looking at a Saturday or a Monday night or another time, and what type of information or resources or help would help them in getting out to town meeting. You want to summarize?
Yeah.
Where we went from there? The one thing I want to mention is two things, actually. The clear majority was Tuesday morning.
Yep.
In person. And the other thing is, and Fred, you'll appreciate this, is the lack of information about what goes on at town meeting. And not knowing really what's going to be involved, what do you do at town meeting, that kind of stuff. Just the whole kind of, do people really know what we're doing?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that, and this kind of came to be because I just noted in the minutes from last year's town meeting that the estimated attendance was 113 voters out of approximately 1,400 plus registered voters in the town. And I think everyone is in agreement that we should do whatever we can to communicate what goes on and to help both educate and make it possible to attend. So the survey that the PTA did, which is of course only a section of the town, but I think one section of the town that faces one of the highest barriers to attendance. Childcare was the biggest thing requested, which has been done in the past, and so we have engaged at least two, and we're going to try and figure out what our numbers are, and there'll be at least two childcare providers paid for by the town that will be in the school helping take care of kids. And then another thing that was positively perceived was, having some food and coffee and kind of other welcoming things to help get through a 3-hour or a 2-hour meeting. And then more education about what town meeting is. So the subcommittee has been working on trying to do that in a way that's not just posting a warning on our website, but actively reaching out to people via the mail. And so we've been working on a postcard design to say when town meeting is, what will be on the ballot, and kind of what kinds of decisions are being made. And I'm hoping that will have an impact and push our numbers up. And so I'm not sure if we wanted to review this tonight or.
We could send it around.
Yeah, I saw it was sent around earlier.
I can send it to the select board.
I would mention that it's a social event too.
That's a great point.
You get to see your neighbor.
Yeah,
You haven't seen them all winter.
I mean, it is one of the wonderful things about Vermont democracy that a lot of other places don't have, and even a lot of other towns in Vermont that are just a little bit bigger than us no longer do, or they have
Even smaller ones.
even smaller
Yeah.
ones.
Duxbury got rid of their, they try to address it by having a pretty robust pre-meeting.
Yeah.
And I
That's
think an
right.
open opinion day, but it's still not the same.
And I also wanted to mention on the record just that Vermont in 2009 changed its law to basically make it mandatory that an employer, unless you are absolutely essential to the operation of the business, grant employees unpaid leave to attend town meeting. And that is a Vermont law as of 17 years ago, but a lot of people aren't aware of that. So you have to ask to be under the Vermont law protection. You have to ask 7 days in advance, I believe. 2 weeks,
I know that.
7 days.
Well, we have, we're being in the Montpelier Commuter Shed. It's a state holiday for
Yep.
State employees. And a lot of the nonprofits in Montpelier adopt this state holiday period. So
Yep.
there's it all depends on how the skiing is.
Yep, and school break is the week
Well, that's where
before.
the
A
kids
lot
are
of
supposed to
families
go.
do go on, if they do go on vacation to get away from the snow. That's a common week for people to do that. So it's the last day before school starts up
Right.
again. So just, start this educational process. Trips might already be planned now, but going forward in future years, say come back on Tuesday morning or on Monday night and participate.
Yeah, Mad River Glen usually hosts a ski race, like a kid's ski race Tuesday morning.
Yep.
Could ask them, but maybe
That's
they
a-
could do it
That's
on
a good
Monday.
point.
That, like you said, it's probably too late for this year. But
I would like to reach out to the folks at the church too, to see if they'd be willing to do lunch again. I mean, this town meeting could go a little longer than the last couple have.
Sandy did bring it up at their meeting
Okay.
2 weeks ago. She just basically said, I've heard whispers that maybe the town would be interested in going back to doing that, like they did pre-COVID. I think people seemed excited about it and they liked it. Sandy really liked it, but there wasn't like a champion willing to take that on. But Sandy felt like if other people wanted to take that on in collaboration with the Village Meeting House, they would be interested.
I have some more outreach to do. Someone who runs cooking classes might be willing to take older kids to help prepare. So it'd be kind of an alternate childcare option. They would help prepare pasta or, salad and kind of make that a community thing too. But I need to do outreach on that tomorrow. And if anyone listening to this would like to be involved, please get in touch.
So do you want to send this around and
I
not
think
go
that
through it now?
I think that makes.
So just,
Or if you want to briefly go through it.
And Al can just show real quick also, just so that people, so just real quick, Sparky Potter.
Thank you, Sparky.
And he doesn't do digital stuff, he only draws. So he came and we sat here today and we did it exactly how the lot subcommittee asked.
This microphone is squirrely lately.
Yeah, it's.
Is this computer audio connected?
There's a red light on the, or a red exclamation point.
It is connected. Oh, what's this?
Oh,
When you moved it, yeah.
It just happened.
Unfortunately.
You think they'd have a twist lock or something?
Did that just happen?
I hope so.
yeah. It's get.
Do you think that didn't automatically hook back up?
Lisa notified us. Here, while you're working on that, I'm gonna run to the restroom.
Lisa notified us that it wasn't hooked up? Oh, you did last time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on went to my computer.
There we go.
Oh. Somebody woke up.
But I did, JB thought there were too many words. So I minimized words on that, and then here's the original version. That Sparky and I did this today.
Is this like a front and back thing?
Yep, so
I agree
there,
with the fewer words.
so here's fewer words than more words.
You need to make
Here's the
sure
address.
that when we talk, that the lot is voted by paper ballot.
Here's the full version. And then I minimized it, I made it a little less, and then I made even less.
Do you think it would be good to just get the general version approved so we can move forward and get it out in time?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, I was just reconsidering that.
And Sparky helped get a hold of a printing place that's gonna be great. I think the quote was $145 for 500.
Is this a PDF or is this editable?
This is the PDF, but I can share the editable, which I built
I
my
just want to change
It's
visitors
clear.
to non-residents.
Well, we can do that. That electing the officers in the lot is paper ballot.
Okay, and that might be, again, like, this was the original, this is what the subcommittee came up with.
Yeah, it looks
But it's a
That's rough
lot
for
of
a
words.
postcard.
So again, this.
We knew that.
I'm okay
And
with
we
it.
said,
No, it's good
that's
start.
the chunk of marble that we're gonna
Yeah.
whittle down.
And we can add a couple words, like this one I think is okay, and I was like, I'm gonna go even less, which let me make the bridge a little bigger. And last thing, but EcoPixel hasn't come through yet. We plan on a QR code going right here to go up to the landing page,
Cool.
if there is a landing page.
My preference is probably somewhere in between 2 and 3
Yeah.
with some additional clarifications. I want to edit visitors to non-residents, as Fred's pointed out, and maybe make clear what will be at the meeting itself so people aren't surprised versus paper ballot.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Does that make sense?
So I'll share, I mean, I'm happy to make the changes, but I'll share the Canva link, and then
This is awesome. No, it's great.
Looks very good.
Yeah.
Sparky loves my little logo.
And, we haven't really talked about this, but, well, number one, I'm afraid to ask about the website.
the Ego Pixel has not.
Okay.
I don't,
What's the?
We will be making a project page for the lot similar to wastewater, but it's been now,
they're understaffed.
it's
But
been,
he
it's
did,
been a while.
I think he showed me this week was gonna be the week. If it happens this week, then I think we're good.
Okay.
Um,
And then the other general communication thing that I wanted to bring up that we've talked about a couple times is, do we want to have an email capability to have residents, right now when there is a mailing that needs to go out, it gets mailed to everybody. If we would also want a way to email people, not legal notices, but, informational things about updates on our work.
That would be like an opt-in.
It would be an opt-in.
That would be great.
And I was thinking we could possibly set that up in time for town meeting and have a sign-up sheet to start the opt-in process. I need to look into the legality of having it at the polls, but I think it should be fine. Just signing up for town notifications. And obviously, the email itself would have an opt-out in it. So if people change their minds, didn't want to hear from us anymore. Good. Does that make sense to think about?
Good for
Yeah.
my email about every 6 months and unsubscribe
It's
to a
good.
lot of things.
But I will just look into what the different options are. I know there's MailChimp that has certain costs. I know we could do a Google group, which would be free. But I'll just look into what the options are and maybe what other towns do
Yeah.
that have this
Awesome.
capability.
You're gonna look into that, Dave?
Yeah, I'll look into it.
I accept.
So you think there's a significant number of people that really don't know what town meeting is?
I do.
Yeah, I think so. People that have never been and don't really, they kind of hear vaguely about it, but don't really know what happens there.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, some people might think it's just a social gathering and not where we approve the budget. Some people might
Yeah.
think it's just
It's in your genes.
I don't think I do. I mean, I.
born knowing what it was.
I mean,
I
Ryan,
was
that's
like,
part of the
this
reason I
dad was
wrote that little
dragging
thing
me.
for the town report is,
No,
it's like
I know.
all the time, I'm like, and I know more than some people that moved in state from out of state. But I mean, town meeting, it blows me away. I mean, I look at it as true democracy or as close as you can get, and it doesn't.
Direct
use-
democracy.
Most places don't have this, and I don't think I knew it was as impressive as it is.
That's sad that, I wish we didn't,
I mean, most of the country doesn't have this.
yeah,
And
it's
so
New,
I,
it's a New
coming in,
England
I don't
thing,
think you really know that you're literally informing what's gonna happen with the budget and changing things on the floor.
Well, you're not a voter, you're a legislator. That's the difference.
You can move things. Yeah, and
Good point.
if people have moved here from other states or many other towns and cities in Vermont that don't do this anymore, it's kind of a new thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to get the word out.
It was one of the reasons I moved to Vermont.
Very cool. And yeah, just to confirm, if you're an employee and notify your employer at least 7 days prior to the date of the town meeting, then unpaid leave is required unless there's a determination of, let's see, subject to the essential operation of the
It'd be
business.
nice to do an article on just what is
What it
town
is.
meeting.
I think that's a great idea. In addition to the postcard, because I know also that's another thing is surprisingly, not everyone subscribes to the Valley Reporter
Yeah, yeah.
or reads it every week.
Front porch forum or Valley Reporter.
I just think having coffee is a game changer
It's
for
a
me.
game changer.
Yeah, so I will also
It's not on
be,
the
I will also be
postcard.
looking into who can help us with that.
Okay.
Coffee and food, both during the meeting and then possibly at the church after, but that is a lower priority than during the meeting.
And then, so what we were careful too is, it just says what is going to be happening at town meeting, but not saying you need to vote yes or no on anything. That goes over the line. We
For
can
sure.
share information as a select board about the background and what's being discussed, but we can't say.
Can't say,
"We
"Come
urge
approve
you
the
to vote
budget."
Yes, we urge you to that.
Right.
I think the postcard does a good job of that.
Yeah.
It laying out basically three things. And it's informational, which is what the goal was, I think. I think you guys did a good job.
Want to go on to the infrastructure summit?
Makes sense. It flows nicely from that.
Have a meeting next Tuesday.
Yeah.
And you have been updating the PowerPoint from the last meeting that we had, right?
I mean, I've spent this much time on it, but
Well,
that's
I
the
knew
goal
that.
for this week.
Okay, yeah,
Can help with that this week.
I can too.
Okay, yeah, well, I started a new one 5 minutes before Valerie came into work for me last week,
Okay.
and so I'll share that.
And,
If
um,
the two of you just
And
want-
you've posted on the website about the meeting and the Front Porch Forum,
Front
correct?
Porch Forum was posted, it was like, in the email I sent out, which you guys got for, about this meeting, pencil it in your calendars. I have a flyer that I started putting up. I think what I'll do for the website is maybe just add it where it says town meeting. I mean, again, like our website is not as movable as we'd like.
Yeah.
But
That's what it is.
do you want to summarize, or I'm happy to, what the meeting is going to be discussing our infrastructure status of various bridges, roads, you did the list today, and discussing where things are, what we might need in coming years, and kind of the financial implications of that. And then also allowing questions about the local option tax for people who have them.
Will you be able to kind of take the lead on wastewater?
Sure.
And wastewater. So I hope.
And you're taking some pictures.
Yep, and Josh Rogers is working and sending me pictures. So hopefully we'll have a pretty PowerPoint, maybe even, this is.
Pull some pictures out of the Meadow Road Bridge report. Inspection.
Yeah.
The one with the holes.
Some
in the
ugly
gutters.
ones, of which there are some.
I said to Josh, for example, if you have pictures in your town garage where there's a bucket with water dripping out, that'd be great.
There would be.
Can you scroll down that?
This is what
Great.
is going to be in the Valley Reporter.
Perfect.
And I can go down a little further when you're ready.
Thanks for putting this together.
I think it's just,
Yeah.
I hope it mostly puts together what we had talked about.
What was the end?
And Jennifer already posted this on Front Porch Forum. I assume she put it on Facebook already. I have
She did.
a flyer put
I saw it on
already up
Facebook.
downstairs. It will be in the Valley Reporter Thursday. So yeah, I think everyone should get the word out. I know some people have told me they already have it saved on their calendar. And we'll plan on, I think, what do you call it, Brian, light refreshments?
Yes.
We'll plan on light refreshments. I don't know what
Do we
that's
need
gonna
a
look like.
Costco run, or what's happening?
Maybe.
Probably need that. I need to go anyway. Toilet paper out.
And it's
I
at
think
6, right?
the-
It's scheduled for 6. So I think
At
they're
this
reserved.
meeting house.
For 6 p.m., yes?
I haven't figured out Zoom. Someone asked me, Alice Peel asked me. I said I hadn't thought about it, but it'd probably be good if we offered it. But I was very open that it would not be what this is. It'd be very difficult to, mimic this.
Did we have a Zoom option for the wastewater?
I'm trying to remember. I know it was recorded
Recorded.
Yeah.
and posted on the town website and stuff. but
Well, what
I
if we just not have a Zoom and see if MRV TV can do it?
Can you live stream
But it
from
won't.
over there?
From where?
The church meeting house?
If they have Wi-Fi there, there's a very good possibility of that.
Yeah, they tape the services.
Live?
Yes.
We could have a call-in option.
I think that's a great idea. Is that something, well, I haven't checked with you guys, but if
That's a
someone's
great idea.
available Tuesday
Yeah,
at
like
6,
email questions
this
or
next
something.
week from tomorrow at 6 o'clock at the Village Meeting House, Infrastructure Summit.
So Christopher at MRV TV will be the one to reach out to.
Okay. I should have, that would be better than Zoom, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Just want to go back, related back to town meeting. So, town report is at the printer?
Yep.
And we're gonna get a proof sometime this week?
Yeah, so proof comes later this week. Valerie and I will review it, and anyone else if they want to.
I just want folks to know, we didn't do a dedication, did appreciation for the VORAC,
Nice.
recreation conservation group, and a lot of it's kind of outdoor recreation oriented. And also an appreciation for Henry, our IT guy, and for Nate, the water operator. I hope that's all right.
Yeah, thank you.
But if there's if you're aversion to any of those, when you see the proof, you can take them out. But it's $15 a page change, right?
And if Jen, like I said.
Put your money down.
Jen this afternoon was like, the vital statistics are wrong, and I'm like, I don't know if I can handle paying to change 2 numbers, but we'll see. Cause yeah, everything, I will say it's a little longer than what the contracts were. Valerie and I talked about it. Valerie felt that we should keep it, like not cut pages. I think at least Valerie and I feel really good about what the report looks like.
Yeah.
But I did email Mary and said, would there be a possibility, because everyone downstairs, the staff doesn't like that we have 450 copies, because we always have a bin extra at the end of the year.
Yes.
If there's a way to cut down on how many copies based on how many extra pages there are. And so unless someone has an issue with that, I've already reached out to Mary
I
asking.
think that makes sense because it's available in PDF or whatever
Yeah.
form on the town website.
When we used to mail them out, the post office would have just truckloads of them in the recycle bin.
Well, if we mail them out now, like we usually do, they probably wouldn't get there before town meeting.
You're probably right. I think our Valley reporter for the town office is coming about 2 weeks late the last few
Yep,
months.
I've been reading my Valley report, my physical Valley reporter on a week delayed basis.
So is there anything else about the infrastructure summit?
No, well, I think we're good.
That's fine. We'll make sure it's recorded.
Yeah, I'll reach out to Christopher. That's.
I just sent a text to him too, so.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, John.
So, in the packet, there's a memo from Steve and Sandy. If folks saw that last year, when they recommended the tax rate, which we said they based it on our proposed budget and not on the 2 special articles, the $12,000 for the long range planning reserve and the $15,000 for the gravel crushing. So that resulted in a shortfall of $27,000. Was not covered by taxes. And that explains why we thought taxes might go up, the tax rate would go up a little bit, but it actually went down a little bit. But at the end of the day, there was a surplus of $41,705. So what Steve said is that basically we could absorb that. We didn't need those taxes because of other savings. And what did he say? Please acknowledge your agreement with this plan to resolve the $27,000 shortfall in taxes raised in fiscal year 2025 was his request.
Yeah, Sandy, so this came through in the audit. Sandy was very, very perturbed by this. It wasn't a finding because in the end, we still were in the black.
Oh, that she was.
And she called them and I think was sharing her frustration, but this would basically make the books remedy them a little bit. And nothing really would change.
Right.
Because taxes are come and gone, but.
I mean, had they based the tax rate on the full amount, we'd have had a $75,000 surplus, not a
That's right.
$41,000 surplus, so.
That's right.
Mhm.
So just a motion to accept the treasurer's plan to resolve the, does that make sense?
So move.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
And then we have the minutes.
This is actually in Steve's memo quickly. This is where the unassigned fund balance number of 853, the 300 grand less. That's where that,
Oh, yeah.
I knew I'd seen that number
I
somewhere.
did too, and I was like,
That's right.
why isn't it in the
Couldn't find
report? That's where it was.
So yeah, 853 after the 3.
Yeah, I was driving, you said that, I'm like looking, I'm like, but where is
You
it?
know.
So with the minutes corrections?
Yeah.
126, let's start there. Can you give me a line number maybe?
It's line number 93.
Okay, yeah.
I voted in
Sorry, what?
nay.
Okay, yeah,
That's what she was asking.
yeah, gotcha.
Line 45,
One
Just,
second, let me
just for
think.
clarity,
What
what
page?
should that say that the motion passed?
It-
But
It was
passed.
on a 3-1 vote.
okay.
I'm gonna put who voted for it.
Yeah. He's 45 with the same one, Fred?
yeah, 45, it's a trivial thing, but the dispatching now is done. They changed the name from Capital West to Capital Dispatch.
Okay.
It's trivial, but
I did not get that yet, so 1 second.
No, it's good to know though, because their name shows up all over the place and that's Capital West.
yeah,
right,
you gotta get
sorry.
used to the new name.
Yeah.
Can you tell me that line one more time?
45, 45.
Bottom of the page.
Okay, and what's the real name?
The real name is Capital Dispatch.
Oh, that's right. Okay,
Anything else?
Where was the 3%?
That's in the next set.
and that's already actually.
So motion to approve the January 26th meeting minutes.
So move.
Second,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then on the next one, January 28th is
Line number 37.
line number 37. And that should be 0.3%, right?
Yeah.
I just did 0.3, I'll make that 0, it's a good idea. And that's it, for that one.
Anybody have anything else?
No.
Move to approve the minutes of January 28, 1926.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And consent, motion on the consent agenda,
Move to approve the consent agenda.
second,
Second?
all in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? Town administrators report.
I don't think anything else, just, again, FEMA is looking good. I mean, I had a call from Du Bois King today, on the Meadowbrook Bridge, we're moving forward with that. There's some hiccups with V-Trans sharing data, which is proving quite frustrating for DK, but hopefully moving forward with their built bridge inspector. And the FEMA meeting, which might be this week. Again, the contract with the engineering firm for the 2 culverts, they're joining in on that. So that's good forward momentum on the FEMA projects. And again, those were, extensions were approved. And I think that's, I don't know, there's a lot going on, mostly good.
Just, maybe I didn't hear you, right, is Du Bois and King on the Meadowbrook Bridge?
That's right.
So they're frustrated about getting information.
Well, they reached out to V-Trans on a holiday. They didn't get back to them for a few days, and Du Bois and King was not happy with that, so they did a
Freedom of Information
Act.
Wow.
And
That's
that,
impressive.
and that created a lot of challenges legally for them able then to share it appropriately, because there's new red tape in the way. So now they can't just like give them the information that they wanted, there's like this huge legal route.
That sounds bizarre to me. that
Yeah.
They would do
Yeah.
that.
V-Trans was very, very frustrated.
I'll bet.
I don't blame them, honestly. They're really aggressive.
When I emailed DNK, I tried to put it nicely, that it made life a lot harder,
Yes.
but it's what it is. And that's it.
Select board round?
Question on your report.
Yes,
The general weight house reserve fund balance is 21,800.
where are you looking?
It's in your report.
on my town administrator report.
Yeah.
This one?
Yeah, it was,
It's under the audit?
Oh, it wasn't on the, I don't think it was on the, it was in,
Yeah, it is.
is it?
Yeah.
maybe it's in
Business
those.
type activities, Weight House Fund decreased to 21.8.
I can't speak to that exactly. They've moved funds around a lot. It's gonna get better moving forward. We know how much money is in it now, and now I can't remember, but Steve sent the number and it's in big bold print. I can look really quick if you'd like, if you'd all like to have that number.
There was quite a bit of frustration about trying to come up with what the real fund balance is in the reserve fund. We've never had a real straight answer for it.
Well, we do now,
But I think it's because we had two funds.
$56,303.
We had the fund that we put 100,000 in,
Yeah,
and then we had that was added, the fund that we had the $40,000 donation, but we always had like a operating reserve fund in the budget. That's how I understood it. It's not clear.
I never understood it.
Yeah, I'm not sure I do either.
Okay, I feel better.
So
Hopefully it would be good if everybody understood it.
it's gonna be a new account. I think Steve and I were just planning on doing July 1st.
Okay.
Well, 2 accounts-ish. But right now, $56,303.
So that doesn't include the donations.
That does include the donations. That is the grand total of the reserve.
Man. A week ago, I saw it was 101,000.
I think it was 92,000, but
Yeah,
Why is it such a moving target?
there was, because trying to fix these two numbers and the money coming in and the money going out, it just created, I'm not sure it was confusion, but pulling all those things into one spot.
It might be a good idea, just, I'm not gonna be in town Wednesday, but just sit down with Sandy and Steve. Maybe come in, see if they have some time
Yeah.
to sit down and go through that.
I mean, what I would guess is that, like
Yeah,
the
that
92,000 came from my SIP
Because we spent more
capital
money.
improvement plan, which is the estimated year-end balance. We're still
Right.
in the middle of the
Yep.
fiscal year, so I'm estimating the June balance based on what we started with, which we have from Steve, and I think that's a good number. But then the projected use, my guess, is
We
too
can use
low.
more.
Like, because we did not just the roof, but we did the painting and we did the
Driveway.
ADA walk, and we did more,
Boiler.
which is, in a way, is great.
Good.
But I'm guessing this projected use number is not, it's understated.
Yeah, it would, that's right, it's definitely low, but that would be good to show exactly what was paid for out of the reserve, which we could easily do.
Yeah, if we could have a
An itemized
detailed,
list.
if we could have a detailed report of monies in, monies out of the reserve
Yes.
fund would be very helpful.
Mhm.
Steve sent, let's see.
But yes, the 56,303, Steve is very comfortable that that is correct for the reserve balance. Which is lower. I mean, if you remember a month and a half, 2 months ago, he was estimating like 70,000. And I can't remember what the 20,000 was that $20,000 had to move from the reserve into the operating budget. And I cannot remember why.
Well, that's frustrating.
But I'm glad
Because the
that
commission-
this is the first time that he definitely him and Sandy feel very comfortable saying the 56,000 is correct.
Is it possible to get a detailed report of the last couple of years?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
And
everything that
how-
we paid, for sure,
Yeah.
because everything's coded.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we're also running a matrix of all the maintenance items that need to be done,
Mhm.
projected costs, and then what the final cost is. We're sort of micromanaging much more than police has ever seen.
I for sure.
And it's hard to make good decisions, especially looking into the future. If we don't know what we have now,
I
what
think
can
it's
expect. Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
So select board roundtable?
Uncharacteristically, I have one thing. And that is a resident on the East Warren Road, right at the bottom of the East Warren Road by the Jocelyn Hill Fork, is complaining about or concerned about the speed limit sign that bumps up to 40 right at the fork. And his concern, he lives right there, is that, people are going 50 around that corner with a bunch of driveways and traffic coming out of those driveways onto what's kind of a blindish corner, that he requesting that speed limit sign be moved further up the hill where there's a clearer sight line. And I responded, it's a process, working with V-Trans to get something like that
So
done.
actually to change the speed limit?
No, just to change the zone. Like it's posted at 30, I believe, 30 or
25.
35, 25.
I don't think it changed, Bridge is 25 and the next change is 40 when you hit East Warren Road. Is that?
Yeah.
I mean, it
Yeah,
never
I
shows.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is after you pass Joslyn Hill going up on the left.
Yeah, so if you're continuing on East Warren Road to the right after the fork with Jocelyn Hill, there's a sign very close to the fork that increases the speed. I think you're right, from 25 to 40. And his concern as someone that's often pulling a job trailer into that driveway or backing
So
out
these
of
are
that
the
driveway.
driveways on the right and
Yeah,
left.
drivers on the
Yeah.
right. And there's multiple houses
Yep.
that served. But the request is to move this speed zone, I guess, they increased to 40, literally a couple hundred yards up the hill.
That requires a process.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
There's a big
Several years ago,
presentation.
we did
that-
it for the common road. And we went from 35 to 30, I believe, or 40 to 35. And I thought CVRPC helped with that.
That's, I mean, I wasn't here, but that's what I believe I heard. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I will share, the sheriff's department said speed since it was paved is actually down, which is impossible to understand, but it doesn't mean that,
The speed zones are set by the signs, right? So
Yes.
that is the
Yeah.
legal.
technically the ordinance, I believe. And the ordinance should
Well,
mirror the signs.
yeah, but the ordinance can't just kind of decide the speed limits. It has to meet the warrants for that speed limit.
That's right.
So
Yeah,
there's
it's a huge
analysis of that.
process.
Yeah.
so it needs to get approved by V-Trans or whatever with the
Yeah.
traffic study and all
There's
that.
there's a document called Setting Speed Limits, a guide for Vermont towns, which
If you remember when we moved I reported that the no parking signs in front of Jocelyn Library moved, and I joined that V-Trans meeting because, if I was there, it wouldn't have happened. And I was towards the end of the meeting. A bunch of towns went through this process, and most of them were denied. And one town had like 30 people on the call. They were not very happy.
denied on the basis that
Their speed studies and what V-Trans does.
The problem is they look at,
It makes no sense.
they look at
it's too
current
narrow.
speeds.
Yeah, I don't understand it.
What I think we ought to do is put the fog lines down in the spring, make it as narrow as possible.
I think that's gonna help.
But we could just see if CVRPC, if they provide that service.
Would you like me to just check with CBRPC?
I would just check if they do or not.
And I can check with the sheriff's department too and see
Yeah.
if there's anything if there's any type of maneuverability. Because if that was up even 50 meters, it would make a huge difference. Because I can appreciate where they're coming from.
Yeah.
It
I
drives
can
that
too.
off.
Yeah.
So we had an incident at the White House a week ago, this last Saturday, January 31st. Workman was in on a Saturday to do some work, and he smelled LP gas. So he called the fire department. They came over and did a safety check, and they could detect some but it was small. But in doing so, found out that we were basically out of propane. So they called me, I came up. So I called Bourne's and asked them to get a truck out here and also a technician to check the system. And went home. I gave them all my contact information. Didn't hear anything, so I went back in the afternoon. The furnace was off. The pipes coming out of the furnace was cool, and the red light was flashing.
And it's cold as hell,
And
isn't it?
it was,
Yeah.
it's cooling off.
And they had filled the propane.
And they had filled propane.
Same thing happened at my house.
Yeah, and so I called them again and requested a technician. Quite certain that the problem with the furnace was the fact that it ran out of propane. I don't know if the driver went in and checked or not. Went back second time in the afternoon, same problem. And then I got a call 7:30 that night. Technician was there to work on the furnace and it was working perfectly. So somehow it reset.
Yep.
And everything. But the other day we got a bill from Bourne's for $532. And
For that service call.
for the service call.
Not for the fuel.
Not for the
Not for the
service
fuel, just for the service.
They had not,
We're on automatic fill.
yeah,
They let us run out. And that's why the furnace wasn't working. I assumed it wasn't checked. I don't know. So anyway, I'm talking with Bourne's and working to try to get this bill canceled because I don't see how it's our fault.
yeah.
Mhm.
Did they explain why they let it go empty?
I was talking to an accountant today. She was researching it, and I'm supposed to get a call back in a day or two from the boss.
Brad had alerted me. He said, if you get a bill that looks like for them coming out to check the furnace, let me know. And then it was in my mailbox Friday, and I was floored. It was a little higher than I thought it would be to come check something after they refilled it.
Yeah, overtime labor and after hours special trip charge. Yeah, so anyway, I'm working to get that canceled.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Just as a question, how often do we rebid or look at our fuel providers, or how many buildings do we get fuel? Is it just General Wait House or?
Well,
No.
technically, the library's separate, but the fire department,
Town garage.
town garage, town office, general Wait House, and like the town office is different than, I don't remember who does this. Who does the town office is now who does general Wait House, and I can't recall it. And I don't, the town garage might be the same as the office.
Does every unit kind of does their own?
It was
Decided?
done before I got here, so I don't know.
remember ever being a conversation about it.
I think the
Just
fire
curious.
department has wards.
I think that's right.
Is Words a fuel provider?
They are now.
Really?
It started a couple of years ago. LP.
It might be the type of thing we have a little time before next winter, we go out to bid and see what,
I just wonder if we could bulk buy or.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was very surprised when I found out a couple months ago that we're not all on the same provider, just because it seems like it would benefit the town to do so.
Obviously, like every building or tank would be a different account,
Yeah.
but possibly we could negotiate a better
Yeah.
deal.
In all fairness, this is the first time I know Bourne's has let this happen. And they have been very good about coming out and inspecting the furnace and everything when we call.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I'm a Bourne's customer and I've never been,
Yeah,
I've
so
always been satisfied.
I think this is a one-time thing on that.
Okay. Dave, you have anything? My only update would be that Larissa reached out to George and Dave and I and gave us a heads up that everything is going well. Recovery is speedier than anticipated. She's gonna be back in Vermont sooner than anticipated and will likely be at town meeting.
In Lakeland.
Will likely be at town meeting.
Oh, very good.
Yep, Cherokee, baby.
So, yeah, we have
I'll make a motion.
okay, yes, please.
Unless people are opposed.
Well, we can vote on it and see if we're
Yeah,
closer.
great. Well, I would make a motion to enter executive session because of pending or probable civil litigation to which the public body is or may be a party, of which premature general public knowledge would clearly place the public body involved at a substantial disadvantage. And that's pursuant to 1 VSA 313 A1E.
Second.
All in favor? Thanks, John.
Thank you.
It's on 9:03 PM.
Recording stopped.